Good morning, everyone. We're going to let everyone join us this morning before we get started here in a second. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project monthly webinar. The title for today's webinar is Summer, How to Make the Most of It, presented by my colleague, Carissa Melody. My name is Kirsten Bayer with the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support at Illinois State University, and I will be the moderator and technical support for today's webinar. So if you have any technical issues or questions throughout the session, please feel free to contact me using the chat feature on your GoToWebinar control panel, and I can converse with you back and forth. As just a couple of reminders and housekeeping things before we get started. As a reminder, all participants on the call are in listen-only mode and cannot unmute themselves. If you have questions as the webinar proceeds, please post those in the question box, or sometimes that little text box is labeled the Q&A box, the question box, the chat box. Those are all synonymous, and it's simply just a text box on your go-to control panel that you can converse with us back and forth on. A reminder that this webinar is being recorded, and the presentation recording and materials from today will be available on the Autism College and Career website, as well as the ICSPS website within 48 hours of this session. And then we've also put the presentation handouts, if you would like to download those today. They are in the handouts dropdown of your GoToWebinar panel, as well as a link has been posted in the chat to all of you for direct accessibility. And then in an effort to be as accessible as possible, this webinar will be offering closed captioning, but the recording will also be offering it as well. Excuse me. And then at the end of the webinar and tomorrow, each attendee will receive a follow-up email, which will include a survey asking you about today's webinar. I will also put that same survey in the chat towards the end of the session. Please provide us with feedback. If you have any suggestions or comments or concerns, we would love to hear them, and we appreciate that feedback substantially. So we would greatly welcome you to take that survey, and we will post that at the end, as well as it will be in your follow-up email. And then just a reminder, if you have faulty internet connection or if you'd prefer to call in today, you can do so by using the phone number in your registration email that was sent to you after registration. And I can also post that phone number in the chat here momentarily. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to our presenter today, my colleague, Carissa Melody.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Kirsten. So like she said, this presentation is called Summer, How to Make the Most of It, and I'll be your presenter today. So the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project helps develop and present resources that assist individuals in their transition from secondary to post-secondary education. I'm sorry, I've got my screen in the way. Sorry, guys, let me just get this out of the way. Okay. So ATTA provides training to support important stakeholders as they work to provide an equitable experience for individuals on the spectrum. ATTA project is just one of the many projects at the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support. So the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support, or ICSPS, creates, supports, and delivers professional development for education professionals across Illinois. ICSPS provides technical assistance, develops publications, and facilitates program improvement strategies for our partners as they relate to college transition, recruitment, retention, and completion, encouraging achievement of special population learners. ICSPS was founded in 1977 at Illinois State University and housed in the Educational Administration and Foundations Department in the College of Ed. So the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project, ATTA, is made available through a partnership between ICSPS and the State Board of Education. ATTA seeks to develop and share resources that assist individuals with autism and spectrum disorder as they transition from secondary education to post-secondary education or employment. The project also provides training and support to stakeholders, for instance, many of you on this webinar today, as you continue to work towards providing equitable experiences for individuals with autism. So next, we're going to launch a little poll just to see which ISB region you're located in. ISBs define these 6 areas within the state. So I just want to know which area you're coming to us from. There are 6 regions with 10 regional offices and 30 regional offices, each with their own superintendent. Because GoToWebinar only gives 5 choices, 1 and 2, Chicago and the Northeast, are actually combined. So just let us know where you're coming to us from.
Okay, everyone voted, so I'll go ahead and close that poll and share the results.
All right, thank you so much to all of you. So again, to collect more specific data on the stakeholders represented here today, please let us know which area you present, and you can choose all that apply. You could be a parent and an educator, or an adult with autism, and a community member, which I think we all are.
We'll give everyone a couple more seconds to answer this poll. Okay, I'm going to close that poll and share the results. So here's your debrief, Carissa.
Thank you. So thank you so much. We don't have very many members on today, but we had lots of registrants, so I'm sure people will see this later. So thanks again for taking our polls. So I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Carissa Melody. I've been with ICSPS since October of 2020. I have 10 years experience teaching special education in a very structured life skills classrooms for students in grades 3rd through 8th grade. About 90% of my students receive services under the diagnosis of autism. In my 10-year teaching career, all but 2 of my students were considered nonverbal, and of course the communication breakdown can come with behavioral challenges, which motivated me to also pursue my master's degree in applied behavior analysis. I'm very familiar with autism. However, to quote Dr. Stephen Shore, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate all the registrants that are on the call right now, especially during summer break. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off now so you can focus more on the presentation. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD, and I'm going to use these terms interchangeably. Also, I recently heard the term ASC, or Autism Spectrum Condition, taking out the word disorder because it could have a negative connotation. I won't use this term. I just wanted to mention it to you because this term was new to me, and I feel like we could be hearing it more often. We're going to talk about the characteristics associated with ASD and how they can become a barrier when it comes to the transition to summer or a big change in schedule. I'll show you some best practices for having an enjoyable summer break, best practices to prepare for big transitions, including how to introduce new skills and opportunities, and I'll also include some travel and safety tips. So here's a few facts and statistics about autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. It's a developmental disability, a neurology-based condition that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral challenges. Often there's nothing about how people look with ASD, that sets them apart from other people, but people with ASD may communicate, interact, behave, and learn in ways that are different from most other people. The learning, thinking, and problem-solving abilities of those with autism can range from gifted to severely challenged. It's a broad spectrum. Low and high functioning autism differences are determined mostly by IQ ranges. I personally feel this is not always a reliable determination, especially with individuals who are nonverbal or not really motivated to show off their skills. The prevalence rate keeps rising. Currently, the CDC recognizes 1 in 54 children have been identified with autism spectrum disorder. It occurs in every racial, ethnic, or socioeconomic group. It's 4 times more common in boys than girls. Some feel like this is because girls could mask or manage their autism better than boys, but I don't know, that's opinions. So let's jump right in. Transition to summer can be very stressful for parents, students, teachers. Students go from a rigid, structured schedule to long days at home. Even if you start early to prepare your home and student for summer, this process can be smoother. So I'm going to show you some different kinds of visual supports and talk about activity choices. My advice, definitely make those summer plans, but leave some time for relaxation, learning new skills and activities, and time to make and be flexible with choices. So using visuals to communicate with an individual with autism can alleviate frustration and sensory overload. We receive all kinds of sensory input all day long, but individuals with autism can have heightened senses or hyper sensitivities to a wide range of stimuli. Individuals with ASD can become bombarded by bright lights. Notice the humming noise that lights can make, and they hear this loud and clear. Those without hypersensitivities or hypersensitive senses can't hear these things at all. But heightened senses might allow the person to hear others talking at a far distance, a dog barking in another street, the microwave or television, the garbage truck, and if there's an odor in the air or a scent that you might not even smell or notice, these things can all bombard their senses, causing sensory overload. So trying to give them instructions or do a new task at this moment when their senses are overloaded can cause a meltdown. Also, they might not even hear the words that you're saying. So with all the other input they're receiving, you might sound like you're speaking a foreign language. So visual supports are huge. They can help to gain the attention of a person who's overloaded by senses, increase their engagement in an activity. Pairing visuals with words can assist in the processing of information. Using communication boards can foster social interaction and increase your language skills. They can also assist in processing of the message that you want to convey. Visuals can help alleviate a power struggle. It's really hard to be mad at or talk back to a picture. Of course, I've had some ripped up, but there's many types of visuals that you already use and some that you might not use. So we're also going to take another poll. So this one is just a quick poll to see what visual supports that you use personally or have used with others. So again, choose all that apply. You'll have to let me know how it's going, Kirsten. I can't actually see the poll. on my screen.
We have about 63% voted, so we will go ahead and close the poll and share the results, and then you can debrief.
Okay.
So the results are shared, and 100% of people say that they use calendars or schedules, 60% social stories or scripts, 60% choice boards, 60% communication boards, and 100% task lists or instructions.
Awesome. It sounds like you're all familiar with all the visuals that I'll be sharing today, and I'll just give some examples. So let's go into calendars. Number one, we all use calendars. Oops. So calendars are used by most of us to keep track of our daily tasks. Counting down to the last day of school is important, and beginning summer break. Most of us use them to track special events like birthdays, holidays, special trips, or even a trip to the park or swimming pool, summer activities, something that's coming up that's important to the other person. These can be things to look forward to, but they can also be used as like a warning that there's an upcoming event. Kind of prepare your mind and body for this change of schedule and give some time to process the event or activity before it happens. There's also activity calendars with fun ideas. Sometimes the teacher will send home an activity calendar like this July one in the bottom middle, and then the bottom right corner is an app called Cozy. This is actually the calendar app that my family uses. It's just simple and it uses color. Each of my family members has a different colored dot. My family is full of teenagers, and a 20-year-old who lives in LA. So we're all very busy with work and school and sports. So our schedules can get a little crazy. So myself and my kids, my husband, we all have this app on our phones, and we can just look to see where someone might be or vice versa. So here's some samples of calendars. And then schedules of the day or the activity can help to know what's coming up, how many times items are to be done, what's expected. Most of us want to know when the next or most fun activity is and when we will be done. So from low-tech, handwritten, a cheap dry erase board, to printed, typed, laminated, or free calendar apps on your phone. There's so many calendar and schedule apps out there. There's apps for schedules that can act like a checklist where you can check off the item when it's done. You can also handwrite a schedule and slip it into a clear document screen and, like a sleeve, and use a dry erase marker to cross off when it's done. You can circle upcoming events that are maybe the more motivational ones to get to, circle the fun, more desirable, just to kind of help you get through those undesirable tasks. But definitely do your own research to find the best app that fits for your life or the individual that you're helping out. So here's just an example of a bunch of different kinds. So next is choice boards. So here's some samples of choice boards and rewards, which you all use. Everyone loves choices. Giving choices gives the sense of control. The caregiver can decide which choices are appropriate for the time of day or that scheduled time, but the individual gets to make the choice. So using pictures alone, pictures with words, cartoons that are motivational, but any way you do it, giving choices are a must, not only with individuals with autism, but it can really help any child, especially the strong-willed ones who strive to be in charge and just want control of their own situation. You can use choice boards for outside activities, inside activities, quiet time, game playing, where to eat dinner, what to eat for a snack. There you can find tons out there on the internet that are already made for you. So here's samples of choice boards. Next, just for your activity choices or your choice boards, here's some simple boards to use for choices. All the individuals, again, want to be in control of their life and their own choices. And there are times when that choice is just not appropriate. We can't go to a public swimming pool at 6 o'clock at night when a storm is coming, or it's time for dinner, or when we don't have that much free time in our day. So some individuals with autism can understand and see the logic of why that's not a choice right now, but others can't, or they want that activity badly enough that they can't even accept that that's not an option at that particular time. So a visual choice of appropriate activities for that time can help everyone to see that these are their choices, you're in charge of their choice. Of course, the choices are chosen for them by the caregiver, but giving choices for rewards can be motivating for an individual to do the harder or more mundane tasks. There's chores that no one wants to do that deserve to be rewarded. The reward can be simple as playing with Play-Doh or jumping on a trampoline, drawing, or anything that the individual loves to do. Maybe it's snack time and the reward can be a snack after the chore is finished. I personally like a little piece of chocolate, maybe specifically like a dark chocolate salted caramel to help me get through a cleaning task that I like dusting. Again, you can handwrite choices, use pictures, picture icons such as the ones that Boardmaker creates, photographs. The internet has so many out there. You really don't have to rewrite it or come up with it. There's just so much to choose from if you search on the internet. But I always like to put Boardmaker or clip art or something like that in my search on the internet so I can come up with specific these picture icons or drawings. So there's also a choice board creator app like the one down in the right hand corner. This one's $1.99. So lots of apps and things out there. Again, do the research and figure out what works best for you and the individual that you're serving. So new opportunities. Summer is an awesome time to explore new things. Take some time to learn new skills. Go to different restaurants, practice independent living skills, go to the doctor, dentist, medical appointments. We try to pack it all in over the summer. You could explore new parks, swimming pools, hiking, traveling by airplane or car, staying in hotels or relatives or friends' homes. So exposing an individual with ASD to new activities or location can cause some big time anxiety for the individual and the caregiver. Again, calendars and schedules are helpful. Also, social stories. If you're going to a new location, you can write a social story, you can drive by, you can kind of point it out. Maybe you can park and talk about it, but not get out of the car the first time. Just talk about where we're going and what we'll do there. Maybe the next time you can stay for a few minutes or get out of the car, set a timer, use your step-by-step instructions and your task lists. These are all great tools to help explore new things. Always use visual supports though, for sure, for exposing a new skill, activity, location, and give a reward. Sometimes the reward is that we're done and we get to go home. If they've gone to a new doctor or dentist for the first time, maybe the reward is a new toy or item at the dentist office. Sometimes they have a little bin of rewards that they can choose from. Maybe the reward is time alone. They just need to go to their room and just decompress and just kind of process where they went or what happened. So that's just some tips for exploring some new activities. So next we'll talk about social stories. Again, everyone that's on the call said they use these 100% of the time. Here's a bunch of different examples of social stories. They're effective, they're evidence-based, they can be used for anything. They can be used for chores, toothbrushing, going to a new place, teenage body changes, social situations, transitions, to break down skills or tasks or routines and anything else you can think of really. I've written social stories on the fly with a dry erase board. If all of a sudden a child is afraid of bugs, I don't like bugs anymore. So then you can write one on the fly. We're going here and it's okay and bugs won't hurt you, but always keep in mind to use first person language, write it at their reading level. You can use words only, words with pictures, pictures only. You can use clip art, Boardmaker pictures, actual photographs. and focus the social story on one item or event. Detail the step-by-step plan. Of course, there's an app for that too. Social story apps and social story creators. So yeah, here's one that uses like a cartoon strip. There's books. There's just very simple, the board maker line drawings, actual pictures of the kids. So tons of different options with social stories. Another visual support is task lists, and you all said to use task lists. So these are checklists that can be used for all kinds of things like chores, independent living skills, showering, brushing teeth, doing a job. This one shows stocking shelves at a grocery store. For grocery shopping, checking things off the list is important because it shows an accomplishment of what's been done, how many items are left until it's over. You can make it simple, complicated. You can use words and pictures, just pictures, again, matching it to their learning level or style. And always use prompts. So you can use verbal prompts, point prompts, physical prompts, but start with prompts and then try to promote independence by fading the prompts and just breaking down these tasks into smaller, manageable tasks. So these task lists help us simplify things. Video modeling, we all know that kids love watching videos and they love watching themselves on videos or in pictures. Video modeling is another evidence-based practice for autism to assist with communication, social, academic tasks. It can be used for all kinds of skills in all settings: home, park, restaurant, grocery store, medical, dental, just so many. The possibilities are endless. I once heard a speaker say that it could take watching a video 1,000 times, but eventually it can lead to total independence. So if at all possible, some of the tips are if they can see themselves doing the task, they can visualize themselves doing it independently. For instance, if you're working on proper teeth brushing, one adult might video while the other adult is behind the child, not shown in the video, helping them hold the toothbrush properly. So if at all possible, it kind of looks like the child is doing the task independently, the camera trickery. So show them in the video several times throughout the day. Don't just show them when it's time to do it, but let them watch it as many times as they want, over and over and over again. And the words that you choose to say in the video should be very simple, should be first person based, and they're the words that you'll use while you're doing the actual activity. You can try to do the activity along with the video, but sometimes the video is a little too fast when first starting to learn a new skill. But always work on fading prompts, fade physical prompts. You can also turn down the video volume so that once they get the verbal instructions in their head, then you turn the volume all the way down and eventually on mute. They get to see the video play, but the words are in their own head because they have them all memorized. And it just becomes part of what they do. So those are my video modeling tips. Activity suggestions. There's so many activities to choose from. You really need to choose ones that the individual likes, right? You wouldn't have swimming be an activity choice if they're afraid of water. There's so many choice boards out on the internet ready to print. If you don't have a printer, handwrite the choices on paper or dry erase board. You can show internet choices, you know, like a pre-made internet choice board on your phone, the iPad, computer screen. Cross off the choices with a dry erase marker. There's so many options, and we know that kids get bored. I'm bored. I have nothing to do. Mom, I'm so bored. So post this bored acronym somewhere on the refrigerator and just let them know. Before you come to me and tell me that you're bored, make sure you've done all these things. So the B is be creative, and you can use picture visuals for all of these too. Some kind of pretend play, crafting. O is outside play. Try to swing or jump on the trampoline or play ball, dig up some dirt, chalk play. The R is read a book. E for exercise, trampoline, jump rope, running. The D is do something helpful for someone else. Sometimes they'll find something to do that occupies their time for hours. Sometimes they'll go through this real fast and again say, yep, I did it all and I'm bored. So anyway, just a little tip. Game playing, board games. Again, the internet has so many communication boards for specific kinds of games. I just put out a couple. So the one on the left is for putting together puzzles and just showing you some different kinds of verbal things that you might use for communication while assembling a puzzle. The one on the right is just a basic overall game playing communication board. Games are a great way to practice patience, flexibility, turn taking, back and forth reciprocal conversation. There's specific game boards on the internet too. Like if you look up one for Uno, you'll get specific things you might say when you play Uno. Go fish, singing songs. There's so many others. You could put the board on your phone or an iPad, put in lock screen. That way it's there while you're playing the game, and use it to practice again the communication. Great job, my turn, your turn, more, well done, let's play again, this is fun, or uh-oh, or you didn't win, so darn. So just practice doing some, communicating while you're playing a game. Again, video modeling is also a great support for game playing and practicing my turn, your turn, all done, and clean up. So model some of these game playing communications, and how to be a good loser can be one that is a good thing to practice. So next, there's definitely going to be times where they're going to need breaks and relaxation, right? It's so important to know what is calming to that individual and give those calming choices too. Don't forget about nature. Studies show that most kids with autism love walking in nature. They even say that the wind whipping past them can act like a calming stim. Nature can recharge your body. You can take a break from technology, get in touch with their senses, their surroundings. I personally have discovered that the autism brain can act kind of like a computer, right? And the longer an individual spends locked into the internet or a repetitive game or video that they're using more like a stim, the more withdrawn from real experiences they become. It's so vital to any child's development to get outside and just take a break from technology. So some calming choice boards would be a must. So some sensory play activities. So we know, we already talked about, individuals with autism can be highly sensitive to their environments. That of course can mean different things to different people, but general people on the autism spectrum usually have delicate sensory systems, like their senses are heightened. We've already talked about that. Sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste can all become easily overloaded. Even more challenging, it can be difficult for people with autism to just ignore all that sensory information as it comes in. This can lead to stimming in the form of flapping, pacing, or another repetitive behavior. Stimming is definitely not a bad thing. It actually has a calming effect or grounding effect for individuals with autism. It can be so helpful in avoiding a meltdown. Sensory regulation, or the feeling that one is experiencing just the right amount of sensory input, is so important to their physical and psychological comfort, according to many studies. Sensory dysregulation is one of the major reasons why individuals with autism, even high-functioning autism, are able to not handle many forms of stress, and they tend to have a meltdown or find themselves unable to manage an ordinary situation. So understanding these sensory challenges is an important step towards helping a person with autism establish a comfortable environment and manage these behaviors. So here's just a couple different examples of, some things that can be relaxing and then some things that can be stimulating, because sometimes they're revved up and they need to calm down and do a relaxing sensory activity, and sometimes they're real low and they just have no motivation to get up and do anything. So this might be a time to do something that's stimulating and get their motor revved again. Independent living skills. Again, summer is such a great time to work on these independent skills, such as the bedtime and morning routine, planning meals that are simple or complex. Visual supports can be used for all these things too. Task lists, social stories, schedules can be helpful with all these routine tasks. So for meal planning, they can start maybe with a recipe, a grocery list, actually do the shopping, make the meal. Prompting again, and prompt fading or limiting the amount of helping that you're doing with each task is very important. And don't forget the tips on learning a new task and taking those baby steps to learn a task. Like going to the grocery store can be very stressful. Check out these pictures on this next list. I mean, just looking at these pictures, you're like, wow, sensory overload, the amount of items and color. So use those new opportunities, baby steps that we discussed, like just doing a drive-by, showing some of these visuals, and this is what we'll see here, and this is what we'll look for. Go to the store by yourself and maybe do a video of you walking through the list or checking out. And remember the video modeling tips. And step into the store with the individual and set a timer and say, okay, we're going to go into the store. We're only going to go for 30 seconds. Or maybe you motivate them by, you know, choosing an item that they love. Maybe they love bananas or strawberries. And you say, okay, we're going to go into the store. We're going to buy one banana and you can eat it as soon as we get in the car or as soon as we get home, and that'll be motivation for going to the store. So just, again, taking those baby steps to get them used to the grocery store. So I'm just going to tell a little story. The first time I took my class of 3rd to 5th graders to the grocery store, we went to Walmart. It was me and a 6-foot-tall OT working with one student. We got in the front doors just fine. Everything was going well. We passed the produce section and got to the freezers. And the student stopped and looked very fearful and frantically began crying, screaming, dropped to the floor, full out meltdown. An elderly gentleman shopping at Walmart passed us and told us we should lovingly, of course, teach our child to love Walmart. So as soon as he calmed enough to actually be able to hear my voice again, I asked him if he'd like to go back to the bus. And of course, he ran out of that store faster than I'd ever seen him run before. It turns out, when talking to his parents about this experience when he was very small, they opened the freezer door and the cold air that blew at him was very scary. And then his parents never returned to Walmart again because they avoided that battle. They avoided these meltdowns. So we did our class grocery shopping every single month. But with this individual, it was a process, right? We had to talk through the pictures. We had to sit on the bus the next trip while his classmates went inside. We watched a video of what he would see at the store. Again, we used social stories, and we also entered Walmart on the other side, not near the freezers. So this was extremely helpful. So eventually he loved going to Walmart. He was such a reader. He just loved reading all the signs, and he just got so tickled every time he read a sign for an aisle and saw that the items in that aisle actually matched what the sign said. So he held his own checklist of items. He was able to purchase and mark off all the items he was looking for. Now he wasn't allowed to push the cart by himself because he accidentally would ram it into other shoppers' ankles, but that was another lesson. We got past going into the grocery store with some baby steps. So here's some visual supports with just some different independent routines like bedtime, morning routine, brushing teeth routine. Here's a sample of grocery shopping list, step-by-step directions. Here's a simple little recipe for making grilled cheese. Here's photos of the items needed to make spaghetti. So these are all internet images I just pulled off to stick on this presentation. And of course you can create your own images, especially if it's like grandma's famous recipe with special ingredients or instructions. But of course, my husband's favorite saying, work smarter, not harder. And so I always look to the internet first because there really is so much out there. So next, here's some more independent living skills and visual supports for chores. Again, I found these on the internet. One chore list on the right is made with board maker icons. If you want to find individual board maker or clip art, just type, again, board maker or clip art into your search before whatever word or picture you're searching for. Example, board maker making a bed icon would be my search, or board maker clean up icon in my search. So restaurant skills, again, summer's a great time to practice going to restaurants, and typically, you know, during the day or like non-meal times, they're not busy, so you can practice going to a restaurant at a non-busy time. Restaurant is a good place for sensory overload and dysregulation because there's new sounds, new smells, and of course the hunger factor that you feel immediately when you walk through the door can really play on your senses. So again, use all the same visual strategies we've already discussed. Choice boards on which restaurant you want to go for, to a social story, talk about the positive things we're going to do at a restaurant, what will happen there. We're going to open the door, we're going to go to the counter. It's a great time to practice communicating. You can write out a script for ordering and practice that script before you go. Do some role playing. I want a cheeseburger, french fries, and a Coke, or I want a number 5, you know, practice ordering in the different ways. The restaurant phrases orders too. Use the actual menu, pictures or words with the prices should all be online nowadays. So this is a great time to choose foods, highlight choices. Here's the Culver's menu where they can circle. They want, you know, this basket or whatever. You can practice using your math skills, use a calculator, add up how much this meal is going to cost you. You can practice saying the money amounts. You can practice paying for your meal. Coins can be confusing for a lot of kids, like the nickel and dime look very similar. So if they have a hard time adding coins, don't give up on teaching. There's an approach called the next dollar approach, where you can count dollars for the dollar amount shown and then give one more dollar for the change. So that's a good way to pay for your item without counting change. Also, it's a good time to practice wait time. Sometimes you need to wait in line, you need to wait for your order, you need to wait to get your change back when you pay. Manners, table manners, restaurant etiquette, anything they need, bring it. If they need noise canceling headphones, if they're calmer with music, then play it. Just make it a real enjoyable experience. These are all, you know, strategies that you can fade over time. So that's practicing restaurant skills. Some travel tips. Summer is a great time to travel. The same visuals and tips apply for travel. Plan ahead, use your calendar, use a daily schedule loosely of events, use social stories to talk about your trip and the activities, where you'll sleep, where you'll eat. Sometimes you might travel by plane. Just a note that with COVID, and mask wearing, airlines are under federal regulation, not state. So this means they're going to require masks for everyone. They don't care if you're mask exempt or you have a doctor's note. They don't have to follow any of those state guidelines. But that being said, the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, has an awesome program to support individuals with special needs or anyone that has any needs that is traveling by plane. So here's the link down here, this passenger support, tsa.gov. It's also called TSA Cares. And it's just a helpline that provides travelers with disabilities, medical conditions, any other special circumstances, additional assistance during the screening process. And from the research I've done, they really do a great job. So that's just a tip on traveling by plane. So I went through tons of visual supports, and all supports that it sounds like you all use, or at least 60% of you use. So now I'd like to just wrap it up and take some time to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Great, thank you, Carissa. So we do have a couple questions. The first one is from Rosalie. She actually has asked two questions. The first one is, could you please give us your favorite website and or app for each of the visuals? So for the calendar, the schedule, choices, social story, is there an excellent website with pre-made visuals that we can access for free?
Again, Rosalie, I just do internet research. Again, I love the app called Cozy, C-O-Z-I, for calendar. That is so simple to use and it's free. You can use the paid version, but I gave a couple examples of like Choice Board or the Social Story app. So you just really need to find ones that work for you and for the student. But there's so many apps out there. It's just hard to tell you which one is the best because some are very similar, but some are very different, and it really is personal choice. So I don't have any good specifics for you other than the ones that I showed you during the presentation.
Okay, and then her follow-up question is there a good internet source for free visual recipes?
Visual recipes, I've used Learn to Cook. One of the, and I would put that just in quotes when you do a search, Learn to Cook. But yeah, again, I just looked those up. I know in the school there's curriculum out there that was purchased, and so I've always used purchased curriculum. My school had always used the unique curriculum, and they have recipes and they have, a list of what to purchase, a list of how to make that recipe, like a task list, and then also at the end they have a how did I like it kind of thing. Was it good, bad? Would I make it again? So, but yeah, Learn to Cook, I would say, is the best one that I've used.
Great, thank you. There's no other questions. We'll give everyone a couple more minutes if they have anything to type anything in the chat there. Just a couple of closing housekeeping things. First of all, thank you to Carissa for presenting to us today. If you have any follow-up questions for her, you can feel free to reach out to her and contact her. Her email is on our website, which is just icsps@illinoisstate.edu. I just put it in the chat there as I'm typing it. And you can go to our website. You can find Carissa's information and contact her directly, or you can feel free to reach out to our support email, which is just icsps@illinoisstate.edu. I'm sorry, I put the email in there. I'll put our website now too. And then also, we would greatly appreciate it if you could take our follow-up survey and provide us with any feedback, maybe some upcoming topics that you are wanting some more information about that we can find presenters for, or any interests that you have regarding the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project, as well as feedback from this survey or from this presentation. We would appreciate it. So I put that link in the chat already. And I don't see any other questions coming through. Carissa, did you have any final remarks?
I, again, just appreciate all of you for attending. I know that it's summertime, so please share all of our resources and webinars on our website. You'll find links to all the past webinars. And like Kirsten said, if you have any recommendations for anything else you'd like to see, please let us know, because we would love to do more for you. So thanks again. Have a great summer.
Thank you, everyone. I did just put our monthly ATTA webinar website in the chat for you all if you'd like to browse the past sessions, and then this recorded session will be up there within 48 hours. And thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.